Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about whether Taekwondo is actually a good martial art. Based off my last video, or one of my last videos, I talked about how I think it's important to categorize the way we rate martial arts. Because a lot of people just go and look at martial arts and they're like, well, I think this one's better than this one. To some degree you're going to get to the point, but I think if we can categorize it, we can actually answer the question a lot more clearly and more helpfully for other people who will check out these types of videos or are trying to figure out what kind of martial art they should take and what's the most preferred martial art for what they're trying to do. For this video, I have it, and for the last video that I talked about, I have it talked about in a self-defense mindset, not like sport or anything like that, or just athleticism. It's about self-defense. What's the most efficient and complete martial art? So what I had under my last video, and you can go back and watch it if you want a more in-depth discussion about the categories, but I have it under 3 categories. It's practical, applicable, and efficient. Practical meaning simply, does my environment or situation lend itself to the technique or martial art? Applicable meaning, does my body lend itself to that technique or martial art? And efficient meaning, how quickly can I solve a problem doing this? So going into Taekwondo as my first category study, which is my personal martial art. I took Taekwondo for 5 or 6 years, I think. Earned my black belt, got close to my 2nd degree, missed it by this much because the place closed out in 2020 and I've just never gone back to Taekwondo. I've tried out some other stuff since. But I really do enjoy Taekwondo. It's my favorite for the overall experience. But I think it does truly lack a lot of self-defense, practicality, applicability, and efficiency. So going into the category of practical first. Does my environment lend itself to this martial art and its techniques? Well, a lot of times not. With Taekwondo being a primary kicking sport, the texture of the floor matters because you're going to be up on one foot a lot of the time balancing, or we have a lot of jumping kicks, so that still factors in. The slope angle of the floors matter. The inconsistency, so if you have like a hill and it's all over, or a potted or pitted driveway or something, I mean, those differences are really going to factor in. Not as easy to recover from. What else? Oh, ice and snow. So if you're doing it during winter or something like that, not having 2 feet on the ground definitely makes a difference when it comes to those things. So we have to recognize that. If you're a Taekwondoist, don't say, oh, it's still the best. Let's recognize the flaws that it has. That way everybody can move forward the best we can. If we all just hold on to the flaws and don't acknowledge them, then no one's going to truly get better or find the best in each martial arts that they can bring home to themselves. So we got to acknowledge that the floor really does make a difference. Space, that makes a big difference too, because if I don't have room to do a lot of the turning kicks, for instance, or maybe a roundhouse kick, roundhouses, I guess, don't take up a ton of space. It depends on how you do it, I guess. If you're going to do it like a Muay Thai guy, you're going to take up a lot of space. If you do like a Taekwondo guy, I guess it's a little bit less space, a lot more snap in the front. But still, it takes some space. Let's see. Yeah, the floor, the space that you have. What else really lends itself to it? I mean, it really has a lot of hindrances. Oh, like your clothing. Like I intentionally... Hopefully there's some other people who can relate to this because I do it all the time and everyone I know laughs at me for doing it. But I won't buy pants that I can't kick over my head in. I'm literally in the dressing room doing high kicks and doing deep squats, making sure that I can actually move in these because I have trained to fight in this way. If I take away my weapons, then I'm at a loss. Which goes into anybody's argument that, well, you should be good at hands. 100% agree. But this is the problem with Taekwondo, is that even your clothing makes a difference. The types of shoes you wear make a difference. Like I have specific stuff I buy because I want to be able to kick. Even if it's just so I can feel comfortable throughout the day, because I like to stretch throughout the day. It really does make a difference. So I would say those are probably the primary things, or like shoes, I guess, as another clothing item. If you're wearing steel toe boots, I work in a machine shop, so I wear steel toe boots all day long. My kicks are not nearly as good when I'm wearing my steel toe boots. On the plus side, if I can get that kick up and I have a steel toe boot on, it's gonna hurt like crazy. So, it's a kind of a toss up at that point. But that's kind of it for the practical side of things. It just has a lot of hindrances that a lot of other martial arts don't have. So, gotta acknowledge that. So the next step is, or the next category, I should say, is applicable. How does it apply to your body? How does your body lend itself to these techniques in this martial art? Another one that has a lot of negatives. And honestly, if I categorize all the different negatives, I would probably put TaeKwonDo in the negative category. It definitely falls more into negatives than it does positives. I just think the positive has a lot to offer, but there's a lot of negatives. So another negative that TaeKwonDo has, we have, I blinked out a little bit. We have, how flexible are you, and how easy is it to maintain the necessary amount of flexibility? That's a big factor. So I'm gonna have to pull in boxing here for a minute, even though I'll probably do a rating system on boxing here later. But boxing, it doesn't really matter how flexible you are. Granted, you might pull a neck muscle. I mean, there's always something that could pull, but really, if you just gotta do one of these, like, doesn't require a ton of flexibility, or even cardio. I mean, if you're gonna do it in a ring, yes, but I mean, like, as a street fight, like, you maintaining your ability to defend yourself in a street, it doesn't necessarily require you to have good cardio to use the martial art. TaeKwonDo does. Any kick is almost, I don't know, I would even just say probably 3 times more energy dense, if that's the right term for it, than any punches. Except for maybe a snap kick. Snap kicks don't require a lot, unless you're trying to go for the head. Then it does require a lot. So it requires a lot of flexibility, and to maintain that is really difficult, actually. I'm actually in a period that I haven't been doing very much martial arts. I've been doing a little bit here and there as I can afford it, just doing some drop-ins and stuff like that, trying to keep up with it. But the problem is that I'm not really keeping up with it. I need to be able to dedicate time consistently in order to use the kicks well. And that's a problem towards TaeKwonDo. Another thing, like I said, is cardio. A 30-second match in TaeKwonDo is cardio heavy. So, I mean, unless you're being very good at being like a counter attacker, where you're waiting it out and throwing them where you can. But in general, it's very cardio heavy. So, how's your cardio? Are you able to keep up with your cardio? So, on the practical side, not so practical. Also, I guess, I'm sorry, not the practical, I mean the applicable. Does it apply to you? In the applicable side of things, not only do you have to have good flexibility and good cardio, but you also have to have, like, good joints. Whereas boxing, granted, if your knees are jacked up, it's probably going to hurt by the time you're done punching your way out of a situation. But you have to be able to use them with good mobility doing TaeKwonDo. So, lots of negatives here. I think now moving into how efficient it is. I think this is where it kind of gets to pull into the positive side of things, I guess. Because I think TaeKwonDo has a pretty efficient way of doing things generally. Not always. When you start talking about, like, the fancy forms and the fancy double jumping kicks, spinning upside down kicks, typically no one's using those unless it's in Hollywood and for the sake of just pure athleticism. Most people aren't teaching that for the sake of fighting. if we're talking about roundhouses, turning hook kicks, turning side kicks, snap kicks, axe kicks, when you're talking about all these things, they can actually end fights very quickly. As long as they don't know that you have them in your arsenal. As soon as somebody knows that you have kicking in your arsenal, the chances of you using it on them decreases a lot. But I think that's the great thing about Taekwondo, is that most people in a fight aren't expecting you to throw a head kick. It shocks everybody. Even if I do it just for the fun of it and I'm kicking random objects, ceiling fans and whatnot. Yes, I kick ceiling fans. It's fine. Just ask my wife, maybe not. But I think it's fine. Regardless, people are so incredibly shocked if you can kick head high. And that goes into the factor of it's efficient because it can end a fight because no one's expecting it. And they can be incredibly powerful compared to a punch. Obviously, you got some really strong punchers out there, but in general, kicks are stronger than punches. So efficiency-wise, I think it's really good. As long as you're not trying to play into the triple kick, spinning, some of them, they can always work, but how efficient and how consistently will they work? Those ones I would probably just toss out the window. But a jumping side kick, even a turning hook kick, a turning side kick, roundhouses especially. I mean, axe kicks are great. Snap kicks, low kicks. Granted, Taekwondo doesn't train for tournaments in low kicks, but they're still a thing in Taekwondo. They're just not really broadcast because of the tournaments. Tournaments hinder that, which we can talk about tournaments a whole other time. Actually, probably be a good video, but we do them, and they're super nice. I mean, what a great way, because especially those low ones, no one sees them. The peripherals getting more focused on your head and your chest area, and no one sees those low ones as much unless you've been training it. So, long story short, I think Taekwondo has a lot of negatives for it in the practical and applicable side of things. But I think in the efficiency side of things, it really has a lot of powerful things. So let's go ahead and break down a point system for how this would work. So on my rating system with the 3 categories of practical, applicable, and efficient, each of them getting a total of a maximum of 5 points, we would have a total of 15 points at the end that a given martial art or technique could get. So if we go into the practical side of things, again, thinking about the fact that my environment really factors in, the flooring really factors in, my clothing really factors in, the space really factors in. On a scale of 1 to 5, I mean, it's got to be a 1 or a 2, to be honest. I hate to say 1 because of those are all the exceptions rather than the rule. So I would say, 1 or 2. I mean, even think about high heels and flip-flops. You can't do Taekwondo if you're wearing high heels and you're wearing flip-flops, and not very well if you're doing steel-toe boots. So that takes out quite a bit of options. So I don't know. I would say Taekwondo probably has the least practical, other than maybe capoeira, where you really need a lot of space. And I think I'm going to give it a 2. I'm going to give it a 2 because I think those worst ones out there. And I don't think majority of the time Taekwondo is going to struggle with the practicality of it. So we'll give it a 2. When it comes to practical, does my body lend itself to it? I think most guys who are going to do martial arts, I was gonna say that most guys that do martial arts are probably fit, but I don't know if that's been my experience. There's been a lot of guys who have been going to martial arts, and I show up after years of not taking martial arts, and I'm still more athletic than they are. I'm gonna say 50% anyways, probably even more. 50-60% of guys going to the gym or a martial art are going to be relatively fit cardio-wise. Flexibility-wise, so I don't know. It's a hard one to choose because I think if you're going to put forth the effort, you can get there easy enough. I mean, you give yourself a year to train, and then keeping up with it isn't as hard as getting there in the first place. So I'm going to say, how practical is it? I'm going to give it a 2. I can't see myself putting myself right in the middle because there's a lot of other martial arts that require a mid-level amount of flexibility and mobility and cardio. And this one does require more than the average. So I'm going to have to put it at a 2 as well. So for practical and for applicable, we're going to have 2 points each. Now, as far as efficient goes, is it the most efficient? No, because a punch to the face is definitely faster. Even maybe I'm going to say maybe a rear naked choke, but you got to get to the back first. So I'm going to say it's more efficient than a rear naked choke for most kicks that are used in the self-defense world. So I'm going to give it probably a 4 on efficient because it ends a fight quickly. Also, if people see you kicking, they get a lot more nervous about fighting you. So that can also deter a fight. And nobody's expecting it coming most of the time, so you can get it there. So whereas like in a ring, like a fighting ring, the kicks might not land most of the time because they're expecting kicks. But that wasn't not so much so when kickboxing came into the world. When boxing was a thing and kickboxer came into the world, came into the ring, kickboxing was doing really good because boxers weren't prepared for it. So I think I'll give it a 4. It might be high, but I think that's fine. So in total, out of a total of possibly 15 points, I think Taekwondo gets a total of 8 points. I guess it's higher than mid, but mid's not a good thing. So that's my rating. Tell me what you think. I'm going to keep doing some more videos like this of different martial arts. I think boxing, jiu-jitsu, I definitely want to talk about those two. And I don't know, maybe we'll even talk about concealed carry. I know if you're a martial artist, you've probably heard those people say, I'll just shoot you. Let's talk about that, shall we? Because there's more to it than just that. So maybe we'll pull that one into in a future video. So follow along, subscribe, like, comment. I really would like to chat with you guys and see what you guys have to think. Maybe pull in some of your questions and pull in some of your comments. And I'm learning too, so I'd like to hear from you guys. So thanks for watching. Catch you later.
Yeah.